Hello, friends. This is just a quick orientation video to let you know what the next couple of weeks is going to look like in my classes. And so here, the first things first, I've got you on RenWeb. As always, I'll post all of my lesson plans to RenWeb. And if you're not, I don't know actually what it looks like from the student side, but you should be able to see under lesson plans all of the things that I'm going to be covering in class with objectives and everything. And then usually in the homework notes section, I'll say if there's anything that you need to do outside of the class time that we have scheduled. As you guys all probably know, there is going to still be a class schedule where you have to show up and do things at certain times in certain places. So let me help you know how that's going to look for my class. Other than like the overarching lesson plans being in RenWeb, if you're not super savvy with RenWeb, I will also be posting those things here into Canvas in the announcements section. Now, that announcement section, every day that we have a class together, I'm going to make sure that I post something that says something like this, class, and then the date, and asking you to read it carefully. This is kind of like what I did a couple of weeks ago, explaining everything that needs to be done in that class period. So that'll give you the overview if you're wondering, oh, man, what are we doing in Bible today? What are the things that I need to get done? Or what are we doing in Spanish 3 today? You can go to the announcement section and I'll make sure that I have some sort of lesson plan posted that'll give you a blow-by-blow of what we're doing. Now, every class, you might be thinking, how are we going to do like attendance and how do we do all this stuff? For every single class time that we have, I will make sure that there is a warm-up that is posted for that day. And you need to make sure that you complete that warm-up in the first 15 minutes of class. This is how I'm going to make sure that you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. So kind of like always, the warm-ups will usually be some sort of quick response that you respond to, and it'll have like a timestamp that lets me know that you were in the right place at the right time. And if you're wondering, cool, so I can just do the warm-up and then bail? False, because after the warm-up, I'll also have this extra tab that I just added for exit tickets. In the last 10 minutes of class, there will be some sort of quick comprehension check just to make sure that you were present and you were following along with the things that we have to do. Now, what are we going to do between warm-ups and exit tickets? I'm glad you asked, because between the warm-ups and the exit tickets, odds are there will be some sort of screen recording like what I'm doing with you right now, where I'll talk in, I'll be up in your upper right-hand corner of your screen, and I'll give you some information via PowerPoint. It probably looks really familiar, right? Because this is what we do in class. It's just you'll be watching it on your iPad instead. So this is kind of what the material of class is going to look like. You'll have a PowerPoint with me talking and explaining things to you. And as I explain things to you, here is what you can probably expect. Sometimes it'll be me explaining how assignments are supposed to look. Like, what are you going to be doing after you watch this video? What's the assignment that we're working on for today in class? What's the rubrics, all of that type of stuff will be in a PowerPoint, and I'll explain all of those things. There will be also times where I'm just giving you direct instruction. I'm saying, here's some information about first century rabbinic traditions and what it means for Jesus to say, you've heard it said. Or maybe in Spanish, I'll be explaining a new thing that'll indicate the subjunctive. Or in Love, Dating, and Marriage, maybe it'll be explaining some of the main concepts from one of the chapters of Sacred Marriage. So in these videos, you can expect to get content and explanation of assignments. Kind of also for class time, my hope would be that it's not just you, I guess, taking in information to try to make sure you're keeping up on classwork, but hopefully these are things that you'll be able to apply in your life. If it's Spanish, like practicing, like using some words and like provoking some thoughts about the way that different cultures do things. And in the Bible classes, hopefully giving you some, I guess, spiritual life skills that you can use in the real world. And then last, I'll also have some sort of challenge to interact with your peers. So this will be partly in assignments, but then there'll also be some times where I'll just encourage you to like, hey, like text someone about this idea or concept, or like talk to someone who's at your house to make sure that you aren't only interacting with a screen and clicking away on a keyboard, but also like talking to real human beings about these concepts. Because I think it's in the talking about things sometimes that we digest the information fully. So that's what you'll get from these videos is explanations and content and ideas to think about and I guess suggestions for you to go out and like talk with other human beings. So here's what I would suggest. As you're watching these videos, one, have out some good old-fashioned paper and a writing utensil and take notes as you watch these videos, because there might be things that you need to make sure that you have on your radar for upcoming assignments. And so that way you don't have to remember, like, okay, I think at minute 3 in the video he said something about this, but you can jot down those notes and then have that for your reference. And then also, if in the lecture time, or if in the direct instruction you find that you're confused about something, or you're not sure about what you're supposed to be doing on an assignment, write down any areas of confusion, so that later when we have Q&A time, which I'll explain in a bit, later when we have question and answers, you can have those questions ready instead of being like, oh, I had a question. What was that question I was going to ask? Oh, I can't remember that question. Um, and at the end, like, ask those questions, right? So after watching a video like this, I'll usually end it by pointing you to some sort of assignment that you'll get on Canvas. And those assignments will probably be filtered in the assignments tab, which you've been in here before. And I'll try to make sure that I explicitly tell you exactly what that assignment is called, so you're not hunting around being like, he said there's something in here. And so that way you can see exactly what that assignment is called and find it, and I'll tell you what section it is in and everything. Now, like I said, there will be a Q&A time. So before the end of class, I'll probably set aside 10 to 15 minutes of web conference time. Now, we haven't used this feature in our Bible class before, but I know on your iPads it looks different, but you should still have this sidebar over here, off to the left where it says Home, Announcements, Assignments, Discussions, Grades. And close to the bottom, or maybe toward the middle, it should say something called Conferences. If you tap on that Conferences tab, there should be 2 tabs. One is for new conferences, which will be whatever's live. Whatever I'm going to be doing live that day, it'll show up as soon as I start the conference. And there should be another one called, the tab below is Concluded Conferences, and there you'll see recordings of past classes or past Q&A sessions. I'll be doing my Q&A via these conferences because then you can hear me. I can respond to your questions either in a chat, or you can turn on your microphone and talk to me, and we can do some back and forth. In these conferences, it'll be the whole class that's invited, and so we can do that Q&A time in that window. So every time, it'll be toward the end of class, probably a half an hour before the class ends, that I'll open up a conference where you can pop in and we can do some question and answer time. And then after the conference, like I mentioned, there are going to be exit tickets, and those exit tickets will show, okay, this is what I did with what I did in class today, and you can answer a question there to make sure that you're like checking out, saying, I was here all the way to the end and I'm all done. So that's basically what class is going to look like. Whether it's Bible or Spanish, it's going to be something very similar to what I just explained. It's going to be a natural flow. Also on Fridays, there will still be some work for you to do. You probably just like a simple assignment of some sort, but the time frame on Fridays is going to be much more flexible. It's going to be a flex day where there'll be 1 or 2 assignments. Check with that lesson plan up in the announcement section, and then once you've checked in there, you'll know, okay, this is the thing I need to make sure I get done today. So if you follow all of those tips, these next 2 or 3 weeks, we should still be learning. We should still have some meaningful interactions and experiences. And hopefully this is a good time for you to rest and recoup, and also make sure you're growing that brain power. So hope we have a good few weeks.